In this video, I want to discuss solving inequalities with multiplication and division. All right, so you may recall that in many cases, not all, but in many cases, solving an inequality is essentially the same thing as solving a equation. So if you were solving this inequality, you would simply you could treat it like an equation. If this was an equation, you might subtract x from both sides. You might subtract 1 from both sides. So you would get this, and everything was well and good. All right. Now, what I haven't talked to you about yet is using multiplication and division. There's going to be a little twist, and so let's do that right now. So let's say I had 3x plus 1 is greater than 5x minus 5x plus 2. Okay, so you might add 5x to both sides. You might subtract 1 again from both sides. So that would give you 8x is greater than 1, so x is greater than 1/8. And that would be correct. All right? So you could, in this case, at the very end, I divided by 8, and I got the correct answer. Now, what if I had, instead of adding 5 to both sides, suppose instead let me erase my old work. Suppose instead I did this. Suppose I subtracted 3x from both sides. And suppose I subtracted 2 from both sides. So that would give minus 1 is greater than minus 8x. Well, that's, whoops, hold on. Okay, well if this was an equation, then we could simply divide by minus 8, and that would give x equals 1/8. But this isn't an equation. Okay, if you divide by minus 8, look what's going to happen. You're going to get, sorry about that. If you divide by minus 8 and you do it just like you would an equation, you're going to get that x is less than 1/8. Okay, but that contradicts the old answer that said that x was bigger than 1/8. So what in the world happened? You see what happened? You see what's going on there? So this would have worked for equations, but it doesn't work for inequalities. The twist is that when you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to swap the direction of the inequality sign. Okay, this is the most important thing to remember about inequality, so I'm going to repeat that. When you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to swap the direction of the inequality sign. So let's back up and do that. So going back to the red equation, I'll put a box around it. So I'm going to go ahead and still divide by minus 8, but this time when I do that, I'm going to flip the direction of the inequality. So minus 1, minus 8, flip the direction, that's less than x. So that gives 1/8 is less than x, and lo and behold, now it agrees with the answer that we got the other way. You see that? So that's the key idea. And whether you're dividing or multiplying, it's the same thing. If it's a negative that's involved, then you flip the direction of the sign. Okay? Let me do a practice problem and then we'll end on that. So maybe a few of them. So how about try these? Alright, so let's try to isolate x in both of these situations. You can stop the video if you want. So for the first one, I would multiply both sides by -1, and then again flip the direction of the sign, so that's the answer. For the second one, I would multiply both sides by -5, and then flip the direction of the sign, and so that's the answer.